So you can all recite with me with muted. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Nasya Purnamadhaya Purnameva Sishyate Ishavasyamidam Sarvam Yatkincha Jagatyam Jagat Tena Tyaktena Bunjita Magrita Kashya Svidhanam. So yesterday in the first verse, we saw how about the Ishavasya principle, which means recognizing that the entire everything in the world is belongs to and is controlled by the Lord, and in that way, and with that consciousness, acting in the world and doing our dharma, and understanding that if we do our dharma properly, then whatever comes by the arrangement of Lord, that is our quota. And then Prabhupada described how by not following this Ishavasya principle, there are conflicts in the world. And Prabhupada gave the example of the conflict between capitalists and communists. So we saw how the capitalists and communists, how they ignore the Ishavasya principle and how they create problems. In capitalism, the rich exploits the poor, and in communism, the government exploits everyone. We saw with the examples of South Korea and North Korea. And then we also saw the spiritual communism, how it is a God-centered life where everyone is engaged as per their ability, capacity, they contribute to the society and they are in harmony with each other. So now in the next section of the purport, Prabhupada emphasizes on how this human form of life is a responsible life, unlike the subhuman or animal life. And human beings should follow the God's laws as described in the scriptures. Okay. So today someone wants to read. Can someone raise it? Okay, anyone else? Okay, yes, Prabhu can read from this. Human beings are not meant to.
Hare Krishna. Hare
Yes,
Krishna Guru. My
yes,
voice
yes,
is clear.
yes.
Human beings are not meant to quarrel like cats and dogs. They must be intelligent so to realize the importance and aim of human life. The Vedic literature is meant for humanity, not for cats and dogs. Cats and dogs can kill other animals for food without incurring sin. But if a man kills an animal for the satisfaction of his uncontrolled taste buds, he is responsible for breaking the laws of nature. Consequently, he must be punished.
Okay, thank you. So in Mahabharata it is said, no? Ahara nidra bayamaitunam cha samanyametat pashubir naranam dharmo hi tesham adhiko vishesha dharmena hina pashubis samana. The meaning is eating, sleeping, sex, and defense. These four principles are common to both human beings and animals. The distinction between human life and animal life is dharma. So uh, the human beings have this ability to understand and follow dharma. So that is the unique thing about human life. And so dharma, as we studied earlier, it's like acting in the world according to God's laws. Bro, you can disable this waiting room if it is possible. Otherwise,
Yeah, I didn't find that option in the settings. I will check and
yeah, you can check later and see if that is possible. Okay. Dharma is acting in the world according to God's laws, like as we studied yesterday. So with facility comes responsibility. Like for example, if we consider the security forces like police, army, they are provided with weapons. Uh, other, Otherwise, it's not so easy to get license for a weapon. So they are provided weapons for a particular purpose. They are provided that facility for a particular purpose to protect the niche country, to protect the citizens of the country, and to protect the national assets, to protect the borders, etc., to keep the enemies in check, etc. But if they misuse the weapons or they wrongly use the weapons, then they're punished. They're liable to be punished. So the same way, the human beings they have this given the both the intelligence as well as the ability to practice dharma. Intelligence to understand and the ability to practice dharma. But if they misuse it, then they will be punished. As Prabhupada said, if you kill other animals, then they will be punished. Prabhupada gave that example. Prabhu, you can read this quote of Prabhupada. The human being is.
Human being is more passionate than the animals, and thus the sex life of the human being is more irregular. The animals have their due time for sexual intercourse, but human being has no regular time for such activities. The human being is endowed with higher with a higher advanced stage of consciousness for getting relief from the existence of material miseries. But due to his ignorance, he thinks that his higher consciousness is meant for advancing in the material comfort of life. Thus, his intelligence is misused in animal propensities, eating, sleeping, defending, and mating, instead of spiritual realization. By advancing in material comfort, the human being puts himself into a more miserable condition, but illusioned by the material energy. He always thinks himself happy, even while in the midst of misery. Such misery of human life is distinct from the natural, comfortable life enjoyed even by the animals.
Okay, thank you. So this is a So here Prabhupada is saying that the human being is endowed with a higher advanced stage of consciousness for getting relief from the existence of material miseries. So if you see the humans have more passion than animals. Where, for example, when it comes to sex life, and animals don't indulge in sex life so often, uh, but humans do, and animals don't have that in skill set and all to also to do a lot about the uh, do a lot about their improving their comforts of life, etc. But human beings have that intelligence, but that intelligence Prabhupada has told is actually given for self-realization and to get relief from the existence of material miseries. But the human beings, without knowing this fact, ignorant of this fact, they misuse this intelligence to uh, do the same animal propensities of eating, mating, sleeping, and defending. And because they are doing this, they are actually encountering more problems. Bro, you can continue. The standard of life for human beings.
The standard of life for human beings cannot be appealed to animals. The tiger does not eat rice and wheat or drink cow's milk because he has been given food in the shape of animal flesh. Among the many animals and birds, some are vegetarian and others are carnivorous. But none of them uh, tend to
Okay.
transgress the laws of nature, which have been ordained by the will of the Lord. Animals, birds, reptiles, and other life forms strictly adhere to laws of nature. Therefore, there is no question of sin for them, nor are the Vedic instruction mean for them. Human life alone is life of responsibility.
Okay. Thank you. So, human life is a life of responsibility. animals, they follow God's laws by default. The laws of God for animals are also different. Like Prabhupada is giving example that the tiger is allowed to eat meat. And it is evident from the way the tiger's digestive system is made, the teeth are there and all. And but human beings, according to God's laws, human beings are not supposed to eat meat, except in some exceptional and emergency cases. If you see the human digestive system and the teeth of the human being, uh, it is not designed to consume meat on a regular basis. And humans, they have to consciously choose to follow God's laws, means they have the free will. But animals don't have that free will. Okay. Now, somebody may say that, yeah, I'm living a very responsible life. That no, I take care of, I respect my parents, I take care of my family, I perform my professional responsibilities. So then someone claims, no, I'm living a life of responsibility. But no, uh, because that what responsibilities one should learn from the scripture. Hmm? It is said in Bhagavad Gita that no, karma brahmodbhavam vidhi brahmakshara samudbhavam tasmat sarva gatam brahma nityam yagye pratishtitam. So here everyone is saying that no, we are doing our karma, means we are doing our duties. But here Krishna clearly defines the karma as to be is based on Vedas, Brahma. Here Brahma refers to the Vedas. Regulated activities are prescribed in the Vedas, and the Vedas are directly manifested from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Akshara. Here Brahma, in this shloka, Brahma refers to Vedas. Consequently, the all-pervading transcendence is eternally situated in acts of sacrifice. So the responsibility is described in the scriptures. Prabhu, you can continue. It is wrong.
It is wrong, however, to think that simply by becoming a vegetarian one can avoid transgressing laws of nature. Vegetables also have life, and while it is nature's law that one living being is meant to feed on others, for human being the point is to recognize the Supreme Lord. Thus one should not be proud to being a strict vegetarian. Animals do not have developed consciousness by which to recognize the Lord. But a human being is sufficiently intelligent to take lesson from the Vedic literature and thereby know how the laws of nature are working and derive profit out for such knowledge. If a man neglect the instruction of Vedic literature, his life becomes very risky. A human being is therefore required to recognize the authority of Supreme Lord and become his devotee. He must offer everything for the Lord service and partake only of the remnants of food offered to the Lord. This will be enabled him to discharge the duty properly. In Bhagavad Gita 9.26, Lord directly states that he accepts vegetarian food from hands of pure devotee. Therefore, human beings should not only become a strict vegetarian, but one also become a devotee of the Lord. Offer the Lord all his food and then partake the such prasadam or mercy of God. Only those who act in this way can properly discharge the duties of human life. Those who do not offer their food to the Lord eat nothing but sin and subject themselves to various types of distress which are the result of sin. Bhagavad Gita
Okay.
3.13.
Okay. Yeah. Just a minute. So here Prabhupada is also saying the same that one may claim that he is a vegetarian, so he is following the God's laws, or he is living a very responsible life because he is not harming the other life forms. But yeah, Prabhupada is defeating that argument by saying, first in a logical way, that even the plants are also living entities and they are also being killed. So then, what to do? Especially now, the vegans, they may even criticize the devotees in this way. That now you are harming cow, like that, but we are not even harming the cow. Yeah, so things like that. Then because then our reference is Krishna, because Krishna is saying that Krishna is not just saying vegetarian food, but even the food has to be offered to him, uh, the, through the process of yajna, or through devotion. So in that way, it gets sanctified. Then the remnants of the food can be consumed, and they will be free from sin. But there is also a direct verse in Bhagavad Gita, third chapter. Yajnasushta shnashanto muchyante sarvaki vishay. E bhajanti to atma karanat. Yeah. Yeah. Others will get only sin, those who cook for just for themselves. So yeah, because we because the human body, everything is given, and the plants, animals, all everything is created by the Lord. So we have to ask the Lord, what is the law, what should be followed, and that is given in the scripture. Now vegans and all, it's a concoction, uh, it's mental concoction. So that that may be some form of goodness, but that will not immune them from sinful reactions. Okay, I'll read this last paragraph. So Prabhupada is telling, it's a definition of sin. The root of sin is deliberate disobedience of the laws of nature through disregarding the proprietorship of the law. Disobeying the laws of nature or the order of the Lord brings ruin to a human being. Conversely, one who is sober, who knows the laws of nature, and who is not influenced by unnecessary attachment or aversion, is sure to be recognized by the Lord and thus become eligible to go back to Godhead, back to the eternal life. So, under this human beings, the responsibility of human beings, Prabhupada is making the first point that human beings cannot just act like animals, because animals, they fight with each other. But human beings should not fight with each other, because human life is a responsible life, and the laws for animals and the human beings are also different. And human life is a life of responsibility, and what is that responsibility is given in the scriptures by God, by Krishna. So that is these are 3 points. And yeah, if human beings does not follow the laws of God, they will incur sin and they will be punished. These are the 4 points Prabhupada is making in this section. Okay, so any questions on the first verse? So it has 3 components. One is the Ishavasya principle, then the consequences of not following the Ishavasya principle, then the speciality of human form of life, how it is different from animal life, and human life is a life of responsibility, and that responsibilities are described in the scriptures. If those responsibilities are not followed, then humans incur sin. Okay, so we'll proceed to the second verse. Kurvan eve, only one devotee, Yashraj Pro only can repeat, others can be muted. Kurvan eveha karmani,
कुर्वन्य एव कर्माणि
jijivishe shatam sama,
जिजीविषेच तमसमा
evam tvayi nanyatosti,
एवं त्वयि नान्यथोऽस्ति
na karma lipyate nare.
न कर्म लिप्यते नरे.
The translation goes, one may aspire to live for hundreds of years if he continuously goes on working in that way, for that sort of work will not bind him to the law of karma. There is no alternative to this way for me. So here, uh, the benefits of following the Ishavasya principle is described in this verse. Kurvan eveha karmani. Eveha means this work. So that is referring to the working in this world as per the Ishavasya principle. If you work in this way, what happens? You will not be bound. Na karma lipyate nare. So the first karmani refers to work. This in the fourth line, the karma refers to no reactions will incur. You will incur. You will not get sinful reactions or pious reactions. And in this way, you can go on living for hundred or hundreds of years. And there is no other solution except this, to live a long and happy, peaceful life. So that is what this verse is telling. We will see the purport. So yeah, you can read the first paragraph.
No one wants to die. Everyone wants to live as long as he can. Drag on. This tendency is visible not only individually but also collectively. In the community, society, and nation, there is a hard struggle for life by all kinds of living entities. And the Vedas says that this is quite natural. The living being is eternal by nature, but due to his bondage in material existence, he has to change his body over and over. This process is called transmigration of soul or karma bandhana, bondage by one's work. The living entity has to work for his livelihood because that is the law of material nature. And if he does not act according to his prescribed duties, he transgresses the laws of nature and binds himself more and more to a cycle of birth and death in the many species of life.
Yeah, so we know that as Atma, everyone goes through different forms of life. After death, there is reincarnation. So that is how the living entity gets entangled, and there is a tendency in the living entity to always stay eternally in a particular form and have happy life. So that is evident. Everyone doesn't want old age. So that's why they spend a lot of fortune on insurance, on healthcare, and also on cosmetics. So this is evident. We can see in the around the world. Okay. Hope it is big enough. So we do work in the world. So it can be there in two ways. One is attached work and another is detached work. So here attachment to the results of the work, detachment from the results of the work. Like while doing a particular work, let's say one is studying. So one is studying. So he always wants to study only to get a very good job, high paying job. So he is attached to the result of the work of study. But one may be studying just to learn something and do something useful to the society after learning. So then in that case, the student is detached from the results of the work of study. Then if he is attached and from the work, if he gets the results as he expects, what happens? He will become more greedy for those results. So, yeah. So let's say once he studied graduation and he got a very good job, then he will think that okay, then let me do MS abroad, and then I'll get a very more high paying job. So in that way, he'll become more greedy, or then he will if he doesn't get a high paying job, if he does not get a job, then he will become frustrated, and then he will he will become dejected, depressed, and doesn't live a responsible life. May get into addiction, etc. Now, if the student who is detached and who is studying, if there is a failure, let's say he did not get any job in campus placements and all, then he will understand that he did not perform well. So he will think, maybe I have not studied properly or I have not prepared properly. So let me try in a better way. So he takes responsibility on himself. And if he has got a good job, then okay. He thought, yeah, so now I got a good opportunity to use the knowledge for society. So let me do let me do my best. You will not become greedy or something. So this is illustrated in this video.
It was finally time for the launch. We had worked for 7 long years for this moment. The whole team waited anxiously as SLV-3, India's first satellite launch vehicle, was prepared for the launch. The countdown began. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Liftoff! The first stage performed to perfection. We stood spellbound, watching, our hopes soaring in the form of SLV-3. Suddenly, the spell was broken. The second stage went out of control, and the flight was terminated after 317 seconds. The rocket crashed into the sea, and all our hopes drowned with it. One moment there was magic, the next a feeling of utter hopelessness. This event came as a big shock to most of us. I felt angry and frustrated. A press conference was scheduled. The causes of the failure were to be discussed. I felt responsible for the crash, and a dread filled my heart. I knew that the press would be full of critics, waiting to blame my team and me. But my chairman, Professor Satish Dhawan, took the mic from me and answered all the questions confidently. His composure and his clarity of thought really impressed me. He said, "These are very complex missions. We have to find out what went wrong, correct it, and then make sure that it's not repeated." He also added, "I'm confident that in exactly a year's time, we can successfully place a satellite in orbit." His last sentence made my heart soar. I had hardly slept for the past week, and I went straight to my room and fell on my bed. Exactly 1 year later, on 18th July 1980, the whole nation was watching us again. It was time for the launch that was going to change the future of the Indian space program. In the early hours of the day, SLV-3 lifted off. The satellite was successfully put into orbit. Then I got the opportunity to speak the most important words I have ever uttered in my life. Mission Director calling all stations. All stages performed successfully, and the Rohini satellite is now in orbit. There was a loud cheer everywhere. When I came out of the building, my colleagues lifted me on their shoulders and paraded me around the launching pad. It was my proudest and happiest moment. I was so proud of my team. The whole nation was excited. India had made its entry into the small elite group of nations that possessed satellite launch capability. Every newspaper carried headlines of the event. A press conference was held once again, and I requested Professor Satish Dhawan to address it. But this time, he turned the mic towards me and let me face the questions. He knew how hard I had worked for the project and thought I should be given the privilege of facing the press. That day, I learned how a leader guides his team, taking the blame when faced with failure and sharing the praise in the event of success. I hoped that someday I could also support my team in the same way.
Yeah, so as we discussed uh, in this video, it is like Abdul Kalam is attached to the results, and Dr. Satish Dhawan is detached. So that's why Abdul Kalam was frustrated and he was highly excited. But Satish Dhawan is detached and he he was dutiful, and when there was failure, he took the responsibility and encouraged his subordinate to continue. And when there is success, because he is clear that the success is not just due to him, but due to all the work of the team, so he gave them the credit. Okay. Now you can take some, yeah, you can take around 5-6 minutes, and you can think about some Shastric examples of an attached worker and a detached worker. And then for each of the roles, which uh, everyone goes through in some part of the life, so you can see how to execute that role, how one executes, if one is attached, how they execute the role, what goals they set for the role, and what is their consciousness, and how they behave during success or failure. Like for a parent, employee, spouse, student, leader, and how a devotee also in generally works in that.
Okay.
So for the first question, raise your hands. Yes, Amrita Mataji, you can start.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. For attached worker, Dhritarashtra was example. He is very attached with their sons, and detached is a Kunti Maharani and Pandavas are there. And attached, I think Maharaja Dasarat was is also attached person with their son. He lives her life, his life, and Bharat Maharaj was a detached.
Okay, yeah, thank you. Yeah, the first one is very much appropriate. Trashra, his king, he became king and he wanted, and his goal is he wants to enjoy that because he cannot enjoy, he wants to enjoy through his sons. So the whole goal of his being king is to ensure that his sons become successor, means Duryodhana becomes successor and not Yudhishthira Maharaj. So ideally, if he gives the throne to Yudhishthira Maharaj, that will be a proper responsibility of the king to have a proper successor. But he compromises that responsibility for the sake of his son. That's why he's attached worker. And uh, Pandu, and in one sense, Yudhishthira is more appropriate because he was only the king only for the welfare of the people. He never enjoyed. Means if you see when he went to Vanavas, he was never frustrated and he was doing his spiritual duties. So he was never frustrated when failure came, and when there is success also, he was not overjoyed, but he felt responsible in that way. Okay, any one example?
Yes,
Okay,
Prabhu, can I speak?
who is saying?
The Vaikuntha Bihari.
Okay, yes. You can
Uh, Rama was
detach.
detached.
Yes.
Rama was detached, but Bharat Maharaj was attached.
Uh, Not exactly, but
Yeah.
Bharat Maharaj is also detached. You can give contrast it with Ravana. So Ravana, he is attached because he is king of Lanka, but his whole thing was not to. He was not dharmic, and he was attached. If you see with one example, we can understand like Ravana after the soldiers, Lanka soldiers were when they were killed in the battle. So he made sure that those bodies were dumped in the ocean so that the other soldiers will not get discouraged. But if you say Lord Ram, whenever some monkeys were injured and got killed, their bodies were preserved so that Lord Ram is clear that after the end of the battle, he can take help of the Devatas to revive them. So this we can see like Ravana for his own victory, he 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 compromised the responsibility of protecting the citizens. But Lord Ram is detached, and we also see when Lord Ram was sent to Vanavas, he was not frustrated, but he felt responsible and he took he took the time to practice spirituality and meet the sages, etc. Okay, so for second, for parent, what do you want to say? Okay, for parent. Shrikant Pro, you want to tell for parent?
Yes, Prabhu, if I understood the question correctly, the goal for parents is to bring up the child with good values, Krishna conscious values, and good health, healthy life. And the consciousness should be like they're God's children, they're the gifts that are given to us
Yes.
under our care, and we should take that care properly. And if we are successful, then we should be satisfied with our endeavor. And if we are failure, I think we should not give up. We should try different ways and uh, never give up. And we should
Yes,
keep on
yes,
trying
yes.
different
Good,
ways.
good. Thank you. Yeah, this is the positive side. Yeah, if it is an attached parent, then yeah, basically what they think that yeah, we will provide to our parents, then they will provide us back. They will have that expectation. That is one thing, and another is we did not do well, but if our child becomes, they become high position and all, then we can that way we can acquire social prestige, etc. So like that, they may have some expectations in that way. That way they are attached, and they will get frustrated if their children don't meet their expectations. And if they become successful, then they will want to take credit for themselves instead of attributing it to their children's hard work and others like teachers who helped their children, etc. Okay, now for the second one, let's say employee. Somebody wants to raise. Okay, Ravi Roshan Pro, you can tell.
Like detach employee the vidura
Okay.
and attach it, as when Yuvraj was like Duryodhana was going to announce, Duryodhana and Yudhishthir were going to announce Yuvraj. Then at that time, Duryodhana also means Duryodhana is always attached, but at that time he was attached to Yuvraj.
Okay. 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 Yeah. Yeah. It's good. Yeah. Both are princes and they are attached. Yeah. That is good. So an attached employee, he will basically work only for money. It's not, so that is his main focus, or to get other benefits and all, or to get a status in the society. So the consciousness will be always there looking for that. If suppose a particular work is not going to help them in their goal, they may neglect that. And yeah, so they may not care to behave well with their subordinates and all, because that may not matter in getting a promotion. So those things they will not. But and if they get that success, then they will think that they have done it. And failure, if there is a failure, then definitely they will curse their subordinates, team members, or they will curse their boss that no, they are political, they are partial, that's why they did not get promotion, etc. Instead of they themselves taking responsibility and trying to improve on themselves. A detached employee, he first thinks that he's offering some service to the company or to the society. Then his goal is like, yeah, he wants to improve. He always wants to become better than himself. And he will not be focused on the byproducts of money and all, not so much. And success, he will, as we have seen also in the video, he will attribute to others, and failure, he will take responsibility. Okay, spouse, anyone wants to tell? Okay, maybe we'll take devotee. Some will be repetitive. So an attached devotee and a detached devotee, someone wants to tell.
Sorry, can I say?
Yes,
Attached
yes.
devotee is sakam karma,
Hmm.
and detached devotee is nishkam karma.
Yeah, that is fine. Okay. Okay, anyone else wants to add? Okay. Yes, Raj, bro, we can tell.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yes, yes.
If devotee is attached to his duties and orders, it maybe sometime if senior give us some order and we get hurt, how he can say like that? So if he
Hmm.
is attached, so he take is in a bad way. But if
Hmm.
he is detached, he take is as a, oh, if I commit some mistake or maybe it's good beneficial for me, this
Hmm.
the chastisation and So I think, and whatever I'm doing, it's all things are for satisfaction of Lord, not for any person and something like that.
Yes, yes, yes. Correct, correct. Good, good, good. Yeah. In the association of devotee, if somebody is attached, basically they may want respect or no, that may be there. But somebody is a detached devotee and is focused on spiritual things, so then he will always see an opportunity to improve himself spiritually. So yeah, as you told, whenever if somebody corrects, gives some room for improvement, he will take it in a positive way, constructive way.
Detached devotee will offer the fruits of the his work to the Lord, no?
No, yeah, definitely means he will attribute. So whatever he achieves, like we chant in the prayers, he will always attribute that the success is because of the blessings of devotees, because what I learned from the devotees and the mercy of the Lord. So that is a detached devotee. An attached devotee thinks himself that no, I have done it. It's my I studied the Shastra and learned, and that's why I'm able to preach, etc. Things like that.
प्रकृति क्रियमाणि गुणे कर्माणि सर्वस्व अहंकार कर्ता
Uh-huh. Yeah, yeah. Basically, attached means there will be material desires, there will be doership. You'll study more on in Bhagavad Gita also. Okay. Okay, yes, Prabhu, can you read this? Other life forms. Yes.
It's very- Other life forms are also subject to the cycle of birth and death. But when living entity attains the human life, he gets a chance to get free from the chain of karma. Karma, akarma, and vikarma are very clearly described in the Bhagavad Gita. Actions that are performed in terms of one's prescribed duties as mentioned in revealed scripture are called karma. Actions that free one from the cycle of birth and death are called akarma, and actions that are performed through the misuse of one's freedom and that direct one to the lower life forms are called vikarma. Of these three types of action, that which free one from the bondage of karma is preferred by intelligent men. Ordinary men wish to perform good work in order to be recognized and re-achieve some higher status of life in this world or in heaven. But more advanced men want to be free altogether from the action and reaction of work. Intelligent men well know that both good and bad work equally bind one to the material miseries. Consequently, they seek that work which will free them from the reaction of both good and bad work. Such
Okay.
liberating work. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, I'll read. Such liberating work is described here in the base of Sri Upanishad. So, ordinary work means you do work, and if you do the work properly, you will get the pious reaction. Means you will get a benefit, like you may be promoted to heavenly planets, or you may get a better birth in the next life, etc. And if you do the work wrongly, then you will incur sin. So that is ordinary work. But if you do the work with detachment to results, which is akarma, then you will be freed from the previous karma, means the previous sinful reactions you incurred, and your material desires also will be purified. So that way, slowly, you'll be freed from the material bondage. So our activities can be vikarma. Vikarma means you're doing prohibited work, means you're acting against the God's laws. That is what we saw in the earlier verse purport that no Prabhupada defined. Sin means deliberate disobedience of God's laws. And so that will lead to sinful reactions in form of suffering, either in hellish planets or in the same life, or you may get a birth where you will suffer a lower birth, etc. Then there is karma. Karma means these are attached activities, means you are following God's laws, but you have some material attachments. So then what that leads to entanglement. So because of that material attachment, you will want to perform pious activities. So you perform pious activities, then to enjoy the fruits of those pious activities, again you have to take another birth. And in that course, you may also commit some mistakes. So according to that, you will also suffer. So in that way, it goes on like that. So that way, it leads to entanglement. Then akarma means so karma is attached work. Vikarma is prohibited work. Karma is attached work. Akarma is detached work. So detached work means you're following God's laws and you're performing your dharma, and you're also detached from the fruits of that work. So as we have studied, we have discussed in detail till now the consciousness of the person who is doing detached work, etc. So that leads to purification. So the purification of the material desires and purification of the material attachments and also purification of the previous sinful reactions. All three will be purified. So that is akarma. And if you see the karma, the word karma, it can have three connotations or three meanings. So karma can mean the law of destiny. The law of destiny, which will give, if you do perform good things, you will get good reactions. If you perform bad actions, you will get sinful reactions. So it is karma first can refer to the law of destiny, or karma can refer to a particular person's destiny. So you may ask, okay, this is written on my karma. So that way also karma is used. And the third usage of karma is karma refers to pious activities, or what we discussed as attached work. So like there are three meanings. So depending on the context, a particular meaning will apply to the word karma. Okay, so any questions about these three things, three terms, and what we discussed till now?
Prabhu, I have one question.
Can you?
Okay,
Yes,
hello.
yes.
Okay, I'm audible.
Yeah.
So, in case of akarma, I know karma and vikarma, but can you go explain more about akarma? As I know by the general term, like whatever we do for a Krishna, that is come under the akarma. So, can you put a little light on that?
Yeah. In specific, means that is for a devotee, that definition may be okay. You do it only for the pleasure of Krishna and you don't do it for yourself. So as we discussed like earlier, like, let's say there is somebody working. So then a materialist, if somebody is working, then he may be focused on earning more money and getting more prestige by getting a higher promotion in the society, etc. That may be a prime focus. But a devotee, his main focus is he was given particular skills and he has to contribute to the society in that way. That is God's law. Whatever skills you have, you contribute according as per the four varnas. That is one thing, and another is for his needs and all, and to offer the fruits back to God. So that is a devotee's consciousness. So he is not very much focused on the how much he's earning, or whether he's getting promoted or not. His main focus is to do his responsibility and offer that in God consciousness. Means when he's doing also, he wants to see how it is connected to God, and whatever he gets, whatever money he earns and all, to offer a part of it to God. So in that way, what happens now? He will be freed from his previous sinful reactions, and he will be freed from the material desires. So that is akarma. Now the example of the materialist who is also working, if he gets promotion, then he will get entangled. He wants to get another promotion, or if salary gets increased, he wants to have more salary. And with the whatever that salary, he wants to do sense gratification. So that way, his material desires are multiplying. Hmm. His material desires are multiplying, and he is also getting sinful reactions. So that way, he's getting more and more entangled. And a devotee, because he's thinking of trying to think of Krishna, and is also offering the fruits to Krishna, a part of the fruits. So he is, that's why, freed from the sinful reactions and material desires. Does that help?
Yes, yes, Prabhu. Thank you.
Okay. I hope there are no other questions. Okay, yes, Prabhu, you can read this, the instructions
Yeah.
of.
The instructions of Sri Ishopanishad are more elaborately explained in Bhagavad Gita, sometimes called the Gita Upanishad. The cream of all Upanishads in Bhagavad Gita, 3.9 to 16. The personality of Godhead says that one cannot attain the state of
Naishkarmya.
Nishkarma or akarma without executing the prescribed duties mentioned in Vedic literature. This literature can regulate the working energy of human being in such a way that he can gradually realize the authority of Supreme Being. When he realizes the authority of personality of Godhead, Vasudeva or Krishna, it is to be understood that he has attained the stage of positive knowledge. In this purified stage, the modes of nature, namely goodness, passion, and ignorance, cannot act, and he is able to work on basis of nishkarma. Such work does not bind one to a cycle of birth and death.
Okay, thank you. So we see that, yeah. So here Prabhupada is basically saying that the stages, the effects of doing Naishkarmya. So if you do the karma, then you will gain the knowledge of transcendental knowledge, especially the knowledge of God. So this is also, no, as Prabhupada told, it is very more elaborately described in Bhagavad Gita. So the third chapter tells how the akarma, nishkama karma has to be performed, and the effect of nishkama karma, the transcendental knowledge, is described in the fourth chapter. And with transcendental knowledge, when you perform further bhakti or continue or jnana or something, then you will get purified and you will attain the transcendental position. Okay. So it's like first you perform bhakti, and also simultaneously you work with detachment in your worldly responsibilities. Then you will gain sambandha again, means you'll understand, you'll start to understand scriptures. So initially you may read Prabhupada books and all, but we may not be able to make sense of philosophy, even the lectures what you hear. But as we perform bhakti, and we also try to do service and also perform our duties properly, then we'll slowly begin to understand the philosophy and able to relate with the life and all. So then once we understand the philosophy, once we understand about Krishna, we understand about chanting and all, then when we perform the process of bhakti with devotional consciousness, then slowly we will, our consciousness will get more and more elevated, and we will also attain the higher stages of devotional service, and we will be able to see Krishna and experience ecstasy, etc. Those things you will study more elaborately in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu in NOD when you study. So we also see, I think many of you will know the story of Chitraketu Maharaj in 6th canto of Bhagavatam. So in that story, initially Chitraketu Maharaj is like a mixed devotee. He has a material desire of, he wants to have a son. So when the sages approach him, he asks for that material thing. So then they perform a yajna and give him that benediction. So then he was, and they named the son also as Harsha Shoka. So then, but the Chitraketu Maharaj has many queens. So to the principal queen, this child was born. So the whole attention of the king goes to only that queen and that child. So the other queens become envious. So they become envious and then they poison the child. They poison the child and the child dies. And Chitraketu and that queen, no, they become very, very much disturbed and they lament like anything. So then again, the sages come at that time. Then they bring the child back to life. Then the child says, I'm actually a soul and I'm going to my next life and all. So then the king realizes that the important, the knowledge of Atma, and then he becomes detached. And under the instruction of the sages, he also starts performing bhakti. So then slowly he advances in his bhakti and he develops sambandha gyan and he does bhakti with more intensity and then so and so much so that he gets the darshan of Lord also, Lord Sankarshan. And then he becomes advanced, but some incident happens that Mother Parvati curses him. But then he had to take the form of the demon, Vitrasur. But still, because he's very advanced, he doesn't get affected by the demoniac body or the demoniac nature and all. And he instead being a demon, he preaches to Indra, who is a demigod, about his own responsibility, and he leaves his body and attains spiritual world. Okay, so in Chitraketu Maharaj's story, we can see how he passed through these stages. Okay, Pro, we can continue. Factually, no one has to.
Actually, no one has to do anything more than render devotional service to the Lord. However, in the low stage of life, one cannot immediately adopt the activities of devotional service, nor can one completely stop fruitive work. Yeah. A conditioned soul is uh, accustomed, accustomed to working for sense gratification for his own selfish interest, immediate or extended. An ordinary man works for his own sense enjoyment, and when his principle of sense enjoyment is extended to include his society, nation, or humanity in general, it assumes various attractive names such as what is that word?
These isms are very certainly attractive forms of karma bandhana.
No, this is a
Altruism.
Altruism. Okay, altruism. Socialism, communism, nationalism, and humanitarian.
Humanitarianism.
Humanitarianism. This is certainly a very attractive form of karma bandhana, karmic bondage. But the Vedic instruction of Sri Ishopanishad is that if one actually wants to live for any of the above isms, he should make them God-centered. There is no harm in becoming a family man or an altruist, a socialist, a communist, a nationalist, a humanitarian, provided that one executes his activities in relation with Ishavasya, the God-centered conception.
Okay, thank you. So all these isms, they are like collective enjoyment. Means immediate means a person is trying to provide sense gratification to his senses. So good food and maybe good clothes, comfortable bed, etc. Very good fragrances, applying fragrances on the body, massaging the body. This is all like immediate sense gratification. But that may be there is limited no capacity to do that. But if he but then there is another way to enjoy. That you get some people and the people praise you and the people will offer sense gratification. But So that is another kind of happiness. So that's what a family man, he provides for his children, he provides for his wife, so that they in turn provide pleasure to them. The children praise the person, the wife may offer bodily pleasure, all these things. So that is, and they together want to enjoy, collectively want to enjoy. So collectively they may want to go to movies, want to visit some recreation, want to go to tourist places. So, and they want to collectively enjoy. So that is collective enjoyment. So that is called as extended sense gratification. So the same thing, like the whole nation may come together and may work for the economic progress, so that with that wealth everyone can enjoy together. So that is again, it's an extended sense gratification. Even humanitarianism, that all people, they can come together and enjoy. So that is a humanitarianism. So it's not like the family, they wants to come together and offer service to the society. Generally, they don't do that. They want to come together. They want to be nice with each other. They want to be dutiful in their roles in the family and all, so that they can all come together and enjoy in forms of going to different places or watching movies and all, etc. Or putting up a very show that they are very happy and get prestige from society, etc. So, and it sometimes it may appear also more nice that means even their communities may externally appear more united or connected, even in comparison to maybe devotee community and all. But the whole hidden intention is that they want to enjoy sense gratification. If you see Bhagavad Gita also, one of the reasons why Arjuna gives that he doesn't want to kill his relatives, because if those relatives are not there, then he cannot enjoy life. So that is all these isms. So what Prabhupada is saying, that all these isms can be dovetailed, can be made God-centered. So there is no harm. Here, like yesterday as we discussed, we cannot overnight stop the desires for sense gratification. So what we need to do is to make them God-centered and continue them in a dharmic way, so that they'll slowly get purified. And then we can leave them. So yeah, this altruism, humanitarianism, it can be dovetailed and made God-centered, like what we do as Food for Life. So we are helping them materially also, and we are also helping them spiritually. And in that way, that becomes akarma, to the extent we are God conscious and that. And even the so-called communism, nationalism, this can be also converted to Krishna consciousness when it is performed in a varnashrama way. So if you see the concept of Bharat, there is no religious tolerance. Means there is a conception that because in the olden days, the olden kings, because they are God conscious and they are dharmic, so they did not. They invited people. Means if some refugees came from another country, they accommodated them, because they also saw that these are also children of God. So they accommodated them. It's not, they did not say, oh, these are migrants, or these are no, they will disturb us, or they will disturb our economy. They did not see them like that. So through varnashram, these communism, nationalism can be converted. Bro, we can continue in Bhagavad Gita 2.50.
In Bhagavad Gita 2.40, Lord Krishna says that God-centered activities so valuable that just a few of them can save a person from the greatest danger. The greatest danger of life is the danger of gliding down again into the evolutionary cycle of birth and death among the 84 lakh species If somehow or other a man misses the spiritual opportunity afforded by his human form of life and falls down again into the evolutionary cycle, he must be considered most unfortunate. Due to his defective sense, a foolish man cannot see that this is happening. Consequently, Sri Ishobnishad advised us to exert our energy in spirit of Ishavasya. Being so engaged, we may wish to live for many, many years. Otherwise, a long life in itself has no value. A tree lives for hundreds and hundreds of years. But there is no point in living a long life like trees, or breathing like bellows, or begetting children like hawks and dogs, eating like camels. Humble man's God-centered life is more valuable than uh, colossal hawks of life dedicated to godless altruism or socialism.
Yeah. So here Prabhupada is saying that how, because if one fails to perform akarma and even karma, but he resorts to only vikarma in the human form of life, then very much likely that they get degraded to the lower species of life. And then it becomes very difficult for them to again get the human form of life. So we see there is a story of Kailash, you might have heard. So there he has a family and he become, so when he's about to become old, the saint comes and tells him, no, so you practice spiritual life, otherwise you may become uh, otherwise you may degrade. This is the purpose of human life and all, otherwise you may go get degraded to lower forms of life. That time he doesn't listen. No, 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 I have to take care of my sons, I have to take care of my family business and all. So but so this goes on, and at the end of life, so next life what he becomes a dog, and he near his house because he's attached to his house. So so that it may happen like that. So that's what Prabhupada is cautioning, that this human form of life you perform a karma, so that the whole problem of getting entangled in this material life will get solved. So here Prabhupada is making a statement: a humble God-centered life is more valuable than a colossal hoax of a life dedicated to godless altruism or socialism. Altruism is basically social service. Even socialism was also something similar. So if you see in the outside world, no, it is so much praised if somebody is doing social service and all. But Prabhupada is making this very strong statement that it's waste in one sense. So how it is waste, we'll see. So if you perform a good action, which means you're following the God's laws, but you're conscious of God. If you're conscious of God and you follow God's laws, then what happens? The doer gets purified, and in that way, because he's following, he's God conscious. Whatever action he's doing in the society also becomes God conscious. So let's say a devotee is working in a company, etc. He's God conscious. So and he is doing that work, and he offers that fruits of the work also in the service of God, some fruits. So he gets purified, and because he is God conscious, directly or indirectly he benefits his colleagues. It may be indirect, or it may be also sometimes direct. But and he's dutiful in his work, in his company life. But another person, he's dutiful, but he has no understanding of God, and he's not God conscious. He has some conception, that we should be dutiful, and we should have good life, uh, and we should be nice to everyone. Some kind of conception like this is there, and there is no connection to God. So, because it is a goodness activity, it is in some way pious. He will get benefit for that. So what again, to get that benefit, he has to take another life. So that in that way also it entangles him. And there will be also propagation of materialism. And he, because he is materialistic, he is not God conscious, so he propagates this philosophy to his colleagues also. And that will, and basically he will distribute food that is not offered to Krishna. So in that way, he is propagating materialism in maybe small way or big way. So even if good actions are done, apparently you may be following God's laws, but if you are not really God conscious, then you will be promoting materialism only. So social service is something like that. Social service is a good thing. Means God also wants you to do social service, but He wants you to do in a with God consciousness. But if you don't do it that way, then you will end up promoting materialism only. So there are big people, big businessmen like Ratan Tata, Bill Gates, Warren Buffett. They want to pledge their entire wealth for the people and all. But ultimately, what they're providing free modern education. Modern education, what it is doing, it is promoting materialism, and it is a and so they may get some pious benefit by doing this social service, but they will end up promoting materialism for all the people, for the poor people and all. They will make them more materialistic. Yeah. But there may be a simple devotee, he may be sponsoring Bhagavad Gita for school children. So what he is getting benefit because he is serving Prabhupada, and he is also distributing that mercy to the school children. They will also benefit as per their Shraddha, etc. Okay, Shrikant, do you have some question?
Can we say this good action in God consciousness is a karma and good action in no God consciousness is karma?
Yes. Good action without God consciousness. Yes, you can say it is a karma. Of course, in that, say if they are doing, there can be some levels also in this. They may have faith in Shastra. So they may be performing in a Vedic way, like worshipping demigods and all. This is given in Vedas. So that will come in Karma Kand. That is better. Otherwise, somebody maybe have goodness ideas and all, goodness philosophy, Sattvagun philosophy and all. That may be, that also slightly karma, but not exactly also karma. It can be between karma and vikarma. Okay. So that's all. That's why Prabhupada is making that statement that no, it's a waste. Hoax means it's a waste, or in one sense, hoax also means cheating. So colossal cheating. Okay, I'll read it. When altruistic activities are executed in the spirit of Sri Ishopanishad, what means good activities performed in God consciousness, they become a form of karma yoga. Such activities are recommended in the Bhagavad Gita 18.529, for they guarantee their executor protection from the danger of sliding down into the evolutionary process of birth and death. Even though such God-centered activities may be half finished, they are still good for the executor because they will guarantee him a human form in his next birth. In this way, one can have another chance to improve his position on the path of liberation. So yeah, if some are doing social service, we should never criticize them, or no, we should not say that you should stop all this. This is nonsense. But we should explain them logically that maybe we can explain them about dharma, artha, kama, moksha. This is a holistic growth. There should be holistic growth. If you just provide material benefits, but they don't have spiritual values and spiritual knowledge, then they will feel lacking in their life at a later stage. So we should try to do all, even if they don't accept. But within ISKCON also we have some avenues of social service like food for life and all. We can try to engage them in that so that they'll get Ajna Sukruti or something like that. Okay. How one can execute God-centered activities is elaborately explained in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu by Srila Rupa Goswami. We have rendered this book into English at the Nectar of Devotion. We recommend this valuable book to all who are interested in performing their activities in the spirit of Shiv Upanishad. So I hope there are no questions on the second verse. It mainly the point is to perform a karma and so that there is no bondage. So that is also means, which means acting according to the Ishavasya principle. So Prabhupada clearly explains how there will not be any bondage if you perform a karma. And if you perform vikarma only, then they will get degraded into the lower species of life. Okay. So yeah, we'll try to finish this verse also. It is small. So the verse 3 tells about the consequences if one is not following the Ishavasya principle. Okay. Yes, bro, we can repeat. Asurya
Yes, sir.
namate loka
Asurya nam te loka
andena tamasavrita
andhena tamasavrataha
tamaste tamaste pretyabhigachanti
tamaste pretyabhigachanti
yeke hano jana.
eke chatmahano jana.
Translation is the killer of the soul, whoever he may be, must enter into the planets known as the worlds of the faithless, full of darkness and ignorance. So basically, he's telling the killer of the soul, one who is not performing work according to the Ishavasya principle, is saying that he's the killer of the soul and his destination is being described. Now we can read the first paragraph.
Yes, please. Human life is distinct from animal life due to its heavy responsibilities. Those who are cognizant of these responsibilities and who works in that spirit are called suras, godly person. And those who are neglectful of these responsibilities or who have no information of them are called asuras, demons. Throughout the universe, there are only those two types of human beings. In the Rig Veda, it is stated that the Suras always aim to the lotus feet of Supreme Lord Vishnu and act accordingly, and their ways are as illuminated as the path of the sun.
Right. Okay. Yeah, so there is a famous mantra which Brahmanas chant, Om Tat Vishnu Paramam Padam Sada Pashyanti Surayah. Diviva Chakshurasam Tad Vipraso Vipanjavo Jagrosam Vishnu Yat Paramam Padam. So the Suras are always aimed at the lotus feet of Vishnu. So there are two types of human beings, Suras and Asuras. Suras means those who follow God's laws, and Asuras means those who don't follow God's laws. Generally, Suras, Devatas are mentioned are called as Suras, but it can also apply to human beings who are also following God's laws. So there is a verse in Padma Puran which also says the same. Dvau Bhuta Sargo Lokesmin. That means there are two classes of people. Bhuta means people, living beings. Daiva Asura Evacha. Vishnu Bhakta Smrito Daiva. So Daivas are those who worship Vishnu, and Asuras are Viparya, those who don't worship are called Asuras. Yeah, like in a state, there are good citizens and bad citizens. So good citizens, they are provided facilities by the government and rewarded by the government. Bad citizens, they are penalized and put in prison, etc. So the same way. Okay, you can read this second paragraph.
Intelligent human being must always remember that the soul obtains a human form after an evolution of many millions of years in the cycle of transmigration. The material world is sometimes compared to an ocean, and human body is compared to a solid boat designed specially to cross this ocean. The Vedic scripture and the acharyas or saintly teachers are compared to expert boatmen, and facilities of human body are compared to favorable brace that helps the boat place smoothly to its desired destination. With all these facilities, a human being does not fully utilize his life for self-realization. He must be considered an Atmaha, a killer of soul. Sri Ishopnishad wants in a clear terms that the killer of soul is destined to enter into the darkest region of ignorance and suffer perpetually.
Okay, thank you. So it is basically the verse and its this verse from Bhagavatam and its translation. Nurdeha madhyam sulabam sudurlabam lavam sukalpam guru karnadaram mayanukulena nabasvate ritam puman bhavabdim na tare sa atmaha. A human body which can afford all benefit in life. Sulabham, but it is very sudurlabha. It is very rare. So this human body is like a perfect, it's a very good boat which can help us cross this ocean of material existence, the ocean of samsara, which is also the cycle of birth and death, as Prabhupada explained in the previous verse. The captain is the spiritual master. So based on the guidance of spiritual master and the instructions, the favorable winds, because for a ship to go, you need to the ship should go in the favorable tide and the favorable ocean current. So that way, then only it can go properly and efficiently. So that is the scriptures and the spiritual master is the captain. So taking help of both spiritual master and scriptures, then we can cross this samsara. But as we discussed, with facility comes responsibility. So if somebody doesn't use this facility of human life and with the help of and doesn't take the help of spiritual master and scriptures, he is considered as a person who has killed his own soul. So in one sense, he is not performing the work of a human being. Okay. So you can read this paragraph now. There are swines.
Yeah. There are swine, dogs, camels, asses, etc., whose economic necessities are just as important to them as our RS to us. But the economic problem of these animals are solved only under nasty and unpleasant conditions. The human being is given all facilities for a comfortable life by the laws of nature because the human form of life is more important and valuable than animal life. Why is man given a better life than that the swine and other animals? Why is highly placed government servant given better facilities than those of an ordinary clerk? The answer is that a highly placed officer has to discharge duties of a higher nature. Similarly, the duties human beings have to perform are higher than those of animals who are always engaged in simply feeding their hungry stomachs. Yet the modern soul-killing civilization has only increased the problem of hungry stomach when we approach a polished animal in the form of modern civilized man, ask him to take interest in self-realization, he will say that he simply wants to work, satisfy his stomach, and there is no need of self-realization for a hungry man. The laws of nature are so cruel, however, that despite his denunciation of the need for self-realization and his eagerness of work hard to fill his stomach is always threatened by the unemployment.
Thank you. So here Prabhupada is saying that again reiterating the fact. So as if the more we repeat, so that we will realize the importance of that. So Prabhupada is saying that how human life has more responsibilities. So Prabhupada is using the analogy of a government officer. The government officer has more privileges that he has a government gives a vehicle, government gives a bungalow, government gives a driver, government gives many allowances. So these are all being given because he's offering a particular service, an important service to the government. So if the government officer doesn't offer that service properly, or he neglects that service, then these things will be taken away from him. So that will be very foolish on his part. So similarly, the human beings, if they neglect the spiritual life and performing dharma in a God conscious way, then it is foolish on the part of the human being. Yeah. And Prabhupada is also giving a logical thing, that because that's why human life is made more simple. Like if you see that, again, take the analogy, the government officer's life is made simple, that no, he need not worry about maintaining his house, there are many servants, he need not worry about maintaining his car, the government takes care of it, so that he can focus on the service of the government. Similarly, the the human being's life is made simple. Acquiring the basic necessities of life has been made simple. He only has to collect vegetables. He need not go for non-vegetarian food. Need not go work hard to hunt animals and all. And so, and intelligence is there. Human being is given better intelligence to fulfill all these necessities of life, so that he can focus a major part of his energy and time in practicing spiritual life. Yeah, and but still Prabhupada is saying now this modern civilization has made it very difficult for human beings to perform spiritual life. Hmm. So what this modern civilization is doing? Three things. It has complicated the human life. So what is happening? Now it has become significantly difficult compared to the olden days to acquire the basic necessities of life. So the whole human energy is getting sapped into it. So very less is left for focusing on spiritual life. And modern civilization glamorizes and propagates materialism. So because of that, the human beings are getting distracted to that. So they are not becoming interested in spiritual life. And on the other, thirdly, the modern civilization is neglecting spirituality, and in some way it is anti-spirituality also. So because of that, human beings are even becoming averse to spirituality. So this is the three things which we can finish it last. Okay, you can take around 4 minutes, and you can just contemplate like how can give some examples of how modern civilization is complicating human life, your personal examples or something you see or whatever, or how it is glamorizing materialism and how it is neglecting or opposing spirituality. 4 minutes. Okay. For first one, yes. Yes, Raj Prabhu can tell.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. So, in this age or in the modern age, we can see the advertisement, which can complicate us. It also glamorize and propagate the materialism and neglect the spirituality. For example, if I have a car and it's maybe something, it's a Swift. So the material civilization glamorize that you have to be BMW because if you are following the high class or if you are a representative or elite class, so you have to buy a BMW or Mercedes or Rolls Royce or something like that because shows how rich you are. So people think, oh, so they are working hard. They want to buy now BMW, Mercedes after the Rolls Royce. And first, a human can live in a small house, but the modern society and the perspective of the modern world says that no, you have to be a bungalow. So the people works hard and they purchase a big house. But if we think the human have to sleep on the if we say that if we think uh, a human needs only a one room, one kitchen, and maybe for the guest one guest room and hall and one bathroom. So it can fulfill his all this. It can satisfy his all the needs, but he needs a big house, so many rooms, a big car. So what is the use of that? And in my personal life, sometimes I feel that in my working hours, sometime my boss says that, uh, Yashra, you have to do some overtime. So I asked him, but sir, why? I I done my all the works in my prescribed time. No, it's good because it sees how hard working you are. So I said that, but sir, I completed my whole work, so why I should spend more time in the company? So sometimes this is that so if you are hardworking, then you have to spend more time in the company.
Yeah, yeah. Fine, fine. Okay. Okay, thank you. Yeah. Okay, who else?
I can also say so.
Okay,
Hello.
Soni Mataji, you want to tell something?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Yes, yes.
So, Prabhuji, I also have the same point. Like in Vedic system, we used to have a very beautiful arrangement where 80% of the population was involved in satisfying their own basic needs, like food. They used to grow their own food, shelter, like they used to make their own mud houses, and they used to. So, and only 20% was the Brahmin community who used to give knowledge to them, and they just used to follow all those norms. But today, what is the thing is that things have reversed, and we are thinking that we are working for continuously 12 hours also, but actually, we are working nonsense because we are actually not even able to satisfy our basic needs, and this is shifted to that 20% population which is actually cultivating food for us. So we have complicated our basic needs in the
Yes.
name of
Artificial
advancement.
needs. Artificial needs.
Yes,
Yes.
in the name of advancement. So this is how
Yes,
complicated.
yes. Okay, okay. Very, very nice point. Okay. Anyone else wants to share? Okay, Shrikant Prabhu, last statement.
Yeah, Roji, regarding complicating the life, instead of solving real problems of life, we are solving unnecessary problems that we ourselves are creating, like making automated cars and all, spending a lot of time on that. Where earlier people had time, but now to save time, we have cars and flights, but still people don't have time. So we're not
Yeah.
solving that problem also.
Yes, yes,
Um,
yes.
for glamorizing, I think the definition of success by modern civilization is changed. The definition of success is someone who is very famous, very rich,
Yes,
very
yes,
beautiful.
yes,
So that
yes.
is how they are glamorizing. And
Okay.
neglecting opposing spirituality is because spirituality comes in between the sense gratification,
Mm.
hence the opposite. And in name of secularism, they are spreading atheism.
Okay. Yes, yes. Very, very, very nice points. Thank you. Thank you very much. And also, yes, for the first point, definitely, yes. If you see, the cash crops are more available than the organic crop. The organic food becomes more costly than the hybrid food, the fast food, than the fast food. So in that way, the human life things are getting complicated. And yes, now the people who are seen as best are the people who are rich people or the celebrities, the actors and all. So these people are seen, people look for, the masses look forward to these people, and they promote materialism, or the people who are achievers, those who score good ranks in UPSC or JEE, they are only made glamorized. So that is how materialism is being propagated. And yeah, science, especially one of the factors is science, that it claims that it knows about the purpose and origin of universe and ignores, and that way ignores spirituality. And they also claim that spirituality is not rational, it is sentimental. So in that way, this is how the, as Prabhupada told, modern civilization is soul killing. Yes. So yeah, thank you for your points. I will just read this and complete it. We are given this human form of life not to work hard like asses, swine, and dogs, but to attain the highest perfection of life. If we do not care for self realization, the laws of nature force us to work very hard, even though we may not want to do so. Yeah, so if somebody does not have the understanding of spiritual, the rich people, because they don't know about spiritual life, they waste their time on, even if they everything is arranged for them, they just waste their time on social media and or watching or leisurely or in leisure, and because of that they get more desires or they get into addiction and waste their time. So unless you are spiritual, you will not be able to spend effectively use uh, effectively use the human life. Though you have everything comfortable, but if you don't have spirituality, you will work hard again for something material. Human beings in this age have been forced to work hard like the asses and bullocks that pull carts. Some of the reasons where the asuras are sent to work are revealed in the this verse of Sri Upanishad. If a man fails to discharge his duties as a human being, he is forced to transmigrate to the Asurya planets and take birth in degraded species of life to work hard in ignorance and darkness. Yes, this you will study in Bhagavad Gita. If somebody is prominently throughout his life is in the mode of ignorance, tamoguna, then he has to degrade to lower species of life and lower planets. ऊर्ध्वं गच्छति सत्त्वस्थ मध्ये तिष्ठति राजस जगन्न गुणवृत्तिश्च अधो गच्छन्ति तामस अधो गच्छन्ति तामस. In the Bhagavad Gita 6.41 to 43, it is stated that a man who enters upon the path of self-realization but does not complete the process, despite having sincerely tried to realize his relationship with God, is given a chance to appear in a family of Suchi or Srimata. The word Suchi indicates a spiritually advanced Brahmana, and Srimata indicates a Vaishya, a member of the mercantile community. So here Prabhupada is making the point that if you practice Krishna consciousness, but you cannot become successful in this life, you can continue in the next. Because the whole purports Prabhupada is saying this is the main thing in the human form of life. Other things are secondary and not so important and all. But now if we ask that, okay, we want to do this, but we are not confident that we will perfect this akarma or Krishna consciousness in this life, then Prabhupada says no problem. It will get carried. It is carried forward to the next life. If even a fallen candidate is so the person who fails to achieve self-realization is given a better chance in his next life due to his sincere efforts in this life. If even a fallen candidate is given a chance to take birth in a respectable and noble family, one can hardly imagine the status of one who has achieved success. By simply attempting to realize God, one is guaranteed birth in a wealthy or aristocratic family. But those who do not even make an attempt, who want to be covered by illusion, who are too materialistic and too attached to material attached enjoyment, must enter into the darkest regions of hell, as confirmed through the Vedic literature. So yes, given in Bhagavad Gita and many others. Such materialistic asuras sometimes make a show of religion, but their ultimate aim is material prosperity. Yeah. Like these politicians also, they may make a show of religion, especially before elections and all. Yeah, they are seen as praying at different holy places. Photos come, but they are ultimately materialistic. Most of them, if they come to power, then they neglect spirituality and all this, and they want to make more money and exploit the public, etc. The Bhagavad Gita 16.17 to 18 rebukes such men by calling them Atma Sambhavita, meaning that they are considered great only on the strength of deception and are empowered by the votes of the ignorant and by their own material wealth. Such asuras, devoid of self-realization and knowledge of Ishavasya, the Lord's universal proprietorship, are certain to enter into the darkest regions. The conclusion is that as human beings, we are meant not simply for solving economic problems on a tottering platform, but for solving all the problems of the material life into which we have been placed by the laws of nature. So it's not, human life is not about getting some basic necessities, but one has to work on the ultimate problem of material existence, and one should perform akarma, so that, which means you are executing your dharma with the God consciousness. Then you you will be freed from the you'll be freed from the entanglement, material entanglement, and you can go back to Godhead. That is what Prabhupada is emphasizing in this paragraph. So, any questions on this verse particularly, or in any particular of these three verses? The first verse tells about Ishavasya principle. Second verse tells about the benefits, about akarma and the benefits of getting freed from material entanglement and living a life peacefully. And third is, if you don't perform akarma, you will be entangled, and especially if you perform only vikarma, then you will be degraded to the lower species and lower planets. That is the main gist of these three verses. Okay, so thank you very much for your participation and patience.
Thank you so
Thank
much,
you very
Prabhuji.
much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
Vancha Prabhupada.